Hi, this is Switch. You know, when Mac asked me to pick out some of my favorite episodes from the show, I knew it was going to be difficult because of all the fascinating subjects we deal with from week to week. I was, however, able to come up with some of the ones that I think you'll find the most interesting and entertaining. So sit back and relax as we once again plunge into the mysteries of the cosmos on this special edition of Mack Maloney's Military X-Files.
Wow, one. He's going to be stealing our jobs here. You should. That sounded excellent, Steve. Thank you.
Turn right 30 degrees. Indianapolis Center, do you have any test operation to restricted area 2508?
Aries 31, roger. Traffic is quite luminous and is exhibiting some non-ballistic motion, over.
Roger, Aries 31. Continue descent at your discretion, over.
Okay, Center. The traffic is approaching head-on, ultra bright, and really moving. They're right by us right now.
There are 1,000 UFO sightings reported around the world every month. 90% of these sightings can be explained, but 10% cannot. Officially and unofficially, the U.S. military has been investigating UFOs since 1947. Their top secret goal is to find out what's behind these unexplained sightings. The Pentagon classifies them as unusual airborne anomalies, but a better term is X-Files. Join us now as Mac Wanwan and Commander Cobra explore these unsolved cases, UFO incidents that baffle even the U.S. military. This is Mack Maloney's Military X-Files. And now, here's Mack Maloney.
Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. And it's Mack Maloney. Wow, what a show this is turning into tonight, and it's only like 15 minutes into it. I mean, one of those nights. Anyway, let me just go through this real quick. The very famous Juan is here in the studio.
Hello, Mac. Yeah, maybe 15 minutes, but it's been a solid 15 minutes.
On the phone with us in his bunker, looking out at the slits of the rest of the world.
The slits.
I know that sounds filthy every time I say it, but it's the truth.
It always sounds like it's a World War II movie.
They call him Coco on the street, but we know him as Commander Cobra.
Good evening, gentlemen. Very proud to be on the wing tonight, and I report that we are in light rain and fog.
Huh?
Oh, really?
And the horses and goats and sheep say hello.
Oh, really?
Oh, excellent.
I'd like to think that was code, but I know it isn't.
Those cute animals.
Also, on the line with us, our national correspondent, Switchblade Steve Ward, up there in the Bowl of Flakes, Battle Creek of the Republic. How you doing tonight, Switchy?
Doing really good.
Really good? Okay, good to hear. And also, we have a special guest who, for some reason, has decided, has agreed to hang on with us. Our good friend Ella out there in Las Vegas. We have to.
Hey, Ella.
Hi. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for being with us.
Ella is another super fan, and she's joining us for a couple segments tonight, and she's going to be joining us in the future. So all the strawberry and balloons when it comes to that, right? Yeah. I'm looking at you as if you're going to agree with me.
Well, she's a gambling person. She's out in Las Vegas, so she's gambling on hanging out in the show for another 20 minutes or so.
Well, as someone who's gambled a little bit in itself, it's not a good bet. But thanks for joining us, Ella. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mac.
So the world wants to know, of course, what did Switch have for breakfast? Now, you have to we have to tell you, Ella, that as kind of a newcomer to the show, we did a conference on Labor Day weekend. We spoke, about 400 or 500 people there in the auditorium, would you say?
Yeah.
And we took questions, and the first or second question was some guy came up and said, all I want to know is what Switch had for breakfast.
That was funny.
So,
I wasn't expecting that at all.
No one was. So Switch.
I certainly wasn't.
So let's hear it. Please don't disappoint us. It's been a tough week.
I feel like I'm in a dark room with a bright light shining in my face.
Well,
let's hear it, Switch.
I had two donuts.
Wait. I want to hear Ella say, let's hear it, Switch, to open this up.
Let's hear it, Switch.
Oh, that was much better.
Okay.
I am now compelled to tell you that I had 2 donuts this morning.
Yeah.
From the bakery in Battle Creek. Now, there aren't many donut places out here. If you go closer to the Detroit area, you've got more donut establishments per capita than you do fire hydrants and telephone poles.
Really?
But if you get out here, they get built a little sparse. So there's one in Battle Creek that's pretty good. It's a small chain.
Yes.
And once in a while, if I was there yesterday, I grabbed a couple donuts and just kept them for this morning.
Interesting. Okay. All right. And that doesn't, the whole thing about eating nutritious in the morning, most, important meal of the day.
I don't do donuts every day, but,
That's good to eat.
Other days I eat sugar frosted flakes. So, there's
Right.
fiber and
steak and cheese.
Do they have frosted flake donuts?
I was just thinking that too. Wouldn't that be good?
Yeah, that'd be good.
I get a feeling today.
Switch, hello. Do they have sugar frosted flake donuts?
Oh, you're asking me like I would know.
Well, you are in Battle Creek.
There.
You live in the shadow of the Big K.
The Big Flake.
That's so far above my pay grade.
Is it really? Okay. I guess we got to take that as a no.
All right.
So
I used to work for a company, an electrical wholesaler, that supplied material to Kellogg's. And for a while, they were the only supplier of electrical parts.
Wow.
Okay. So, Colin, what is it?
And it was crazy because you could not, when you would bag parts in bags or whatever, we would normally staple them, but you can't use any staples for Kellogg.
Right.
You had to use tape or something like that. And once in a while, somebody would screw up and send a bag over with a staple on it.
Yep.
And they would go crazy. They would lock down the area and treat it as if they'd had a radiation spill or a crime scene.
Yep.
And rope it all off, and they would just search the whole area to make sure there weren't any more.
Right. Yeah. Quick.
Were these staples extraterrestrial in nature? I'm just curious.
These were, to the best of my knowledge, just staples.
Quick story about.
How come when there's a hurricane or something and people say they're going to be a mad rush to the marketplace?
Yeah.
And people say, well, we're out there to buy staples.
Staples? What do you need staples for?
Milk, bread, eggs,
I see. Okay.
cheese.
All right.
Those are staples, right?
Oh, wow.
Am I right or what?
That was.
We're not going to Staples to buy a new stapler.
That is one of the most brainy things
was that brilliant?
Someone has ever pulled
Is that
off
worth a
on
sound
this
effect?
show. Mark the tape. Make sure that copies are put in the vault because that by far. I have had a few alcoholic beverages tonight before I got to the
what?
But that I know.
Shocked.
Well, we were at Margaritas.
In fact, it was like a bright flash of light. One used intelligence and humor in the same sentence.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. And to our editor, isolate that segment of me talking about staples.
Put a little music behind it.
Use it as a drop later on.
And Cobra used humor and sarcasm in the same sentence.
Wow.
He did.
Oh, my goodness.
That's pretty steady, though.
Wow. Okay. Club, are you listening in on this and taking down notes and recordings and so on?
Yeah, absolutely, Mac.
Since you didn't introduce me in this segment.
Oh,
man. Never piss off the Irish guy. Never, ever.
You're right. We didn't get to him yet.
619. Wait. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Maloney's Military X-Files show. A special guest, Club, our security agent. So, okay, so I always think of Club as the big brother listening in. You know what I mean? Kind of not.
Well, I'm used to being in the closet as your security chief, so this is nothing new to be in the background. Yeah. But
and we'd never introduce him as right. He is great. He's happy to be here at all times.
He's listening in on every show. I thought
he's an important person,
right,
behind the scenes.
That's
but
true.
You never introduce him and say he needs no introduction because,
as it turns out, right. As it turns out, that security report you're going to give tonight, I think, is going to have to wait a couple weeks, Club. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. It's pretty extensive, and in fact, I have to go and get a shot tomorrow at the doctor's because of this, and so I better hold off on discussing it.
Club.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Is that covered under the Mack Maloney Military X-Files medical, or did you have to use the supplement for that?
No, the medical program that you guys offer here wasn't enough, so I had to find a place down the street.
Wow. Okay.
Nothing worse than when you have to go off market to take care of the things that you have to deal with. You can't unsee what you can't unsee. There's just no doubt.
Absolutely.
This night's been going down the drain since I hit margaritas, since I had that first tequila. What happened?
I wonder if there's a line that could be drawn between margaritas and going down the drain.
That'd be a fairly straight line, wouldn't it be, Ella?
I want Ella's opinion. Since Ella's hanging in here, she's the ultimate wing man, wing person tonight, wing woman. What do you think?
About margaritas? Or about going down the drain?
No, margaritas, and then we'll talk about going down the drain.
I think I should have a glass of wine before I decide.
Okay. Wow.
Are there margaritas out there?
The gang.
Yeah.
Is there any alcohol in Las Vegas?
Yeah.
I haven't heard.
Lots of alcohol.
There's lots of alcohol.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a great sell.
So listen, why don't we do this? Oh, let me plug a few things while we're here. Okay. First of all, we are getting a new sponsor this week. Okay, It's Homes for Our Service People. Homes for Vets. They're down in Taunton, Mass. We're going to start running the PSC.
Great
this, this show. We're glad to have them on board. They're going to have a spokesman on the show in a few weeks. And what they do is, and what attracted us to them is that of all the military assistant charities that are out there, and there are a lot of them, and not all of them are on the level, as it turns out. And I think that's like the worst thing you can do to someone is screw a veteran. But anyway, these people, Homes for Our Troops, they are the highest rated charity in the country when it comes to veteran services.
I think they're almost in the 90%.
Yeah, it's like 88%. Yeah,
they're nearly 90%. And I keep close track on those guys.
And what they do is it's for veterans of post 9/11 veterans, Iraq and Afghanistan, and they build them houses and give them the house. It's as simple as that.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's hugely successful. In my opinion, we shouldn't need it. It's something that this country should not have to go to charities to do.
Right.
The Veterans Administration should be doing this, but that's a whole other show.
That's right.
Okay, so we're going to be running this PSA, and just listen to it and donate to them. It's
okay.
It's a really good charitable cause, and it goes to our veterans. And
when are we starting that? Next week?
The PSA is going to be on this show. Okay, it's going to start on this show, and they're going to be with us. For the next few weeks. I think we should probably.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel bad for the vets.
Yep, there's 3 vets on the show right now. Fortunately, we're in good shape.
And I'd like to say one of them drives a vet, but not yet. And also we're a podcast now, podbean.com, bean like in the vegetable, podbean.com. We're on 16 different platforms, podcast platforms.
Right.
Stitcher. iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio. And if you have an Alexa in your house, just say, Alexa, play Mack Maloney's Military X-Files on Apple Podcasts. And man, oh man, there it is. That's the most fascinating thing to me, to just call it out, and all of a sudden, the next thing you know is...
it plays the latest show that's uploaded, right?
Excuse me?
It plays the latest show that was uploaded.
Right, exactly. That's the featured show, and then there's a growing archive, on the site, and it's really our listenership has really gone up since we became a podcast. Did you listen to us on the radio or on the podcast?
I listened to you on the radio.
On the radio, okay.
UK. Paranormal UK radio.
Oh, okay.
Switchies. Switchies network. Okay.
Switchies station. There you go.
Well,
yeah, I've heard them too.
That's why we're always.
Oh,
wow! I see now.
Would it be unfair to me to ask if she's heard of my program?
No,
because I'm already ready for the letdown. I'm already ready.
I don't think we were done talking about my program.
Thank you for answering
the high strangeness factor heard every fortnight on the Paranormal UK Radio Network. But now you can go ahead.
Oh, thanks so much. Every fortnight. That's a fancy way of saying that you take half the month off.
I was going to say, you had us until you said fortnight. So look. So, well, that's good because the radio, people listen to us on the radio. It's the same show, but there's a little bit of a different dynamic when you listen, and it's a radio show, and you've taken out the time at a certain time to listen. On the podcast, you can listen anytime you want.
That's really cool. I know.
So anyway,
who listens to live anything anymore? Basically.
Yeah, I know. We're not even live.
I listened to Cousin Brucey live. That's about it.
Cousin Brucey's barely alive. He's about 102.
Cousin Brucey!
So listen, well, we're going down Stone Age. Okay. So why don't you save us, Switchy, and you have a report from the Fringe?
I do. And the sources for this is pretty much about 1973. We've talked about 1973 before to some extent, but that was a very active time for UFO encounters, abduction experiences, people seeing, having the close encounters of the third kind where they see a craft in conjunction with some kind of a humanoid. Situation Red, the UFO Siege by Leonard Stringfield, and 1973, Year of the Humanoids, by David Webb. David Webb was it was published by the Center for UFO Studies, and that, of course, was Dr. Hynek's group. Everybody seems to know, or a lot of people now know who Dr. Hynek is because of that, forgive me, awful TV show that is on on History, I think, where they it's called Blue Book, and I don't mind, we've talked about this before, I don't mind if these shows take a little bit of license, but it's just, this next week I think they're going to have Dr. Hynek on the set of Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Really?
Well, that didn't occur until 1977, and this is supposed to be back in the 50s or 60s, or the 60s, I guess, so I don't know, they just... very disappointed with, they did the Kelly Hopkinsville Goblins out of Kentucky last week. And it was really disappointing the way they portrayed it. But anyway, there was a lot of things going on at the time. And Dr. Hynek, he had a hotline. And just to give you an example, in 1975, 70% of the reports they were getting were from police sources. So you were getting some very high quality observers seeing strange objects in the sky, and Hynek estimated that about 1/3 of the sightings reported by police officers were reported to the media or research groups. So the sources were pretty decent. They weren't just a lot of hoaxing or a lot of people that weren't well trained in observing these kinds of things. Now, for example, this is 73. Sergeant Lester Shell and Patrolman Harry Jarrett. They're near Chattanooga, Tennessee. They get a routine call. A woman calls and says that she's seen some strange light land in the land near her. It's kind of rural, near where she lives, and it's a. So the police arrive, and they're surprised that, whatever this is still there. I mean, how many times do the authorities get there, and there's nothing there? So they see a cigar-shaped object. It's just a few feet above the ground in this kind of a wooded area, kind of a bluish-white light. It's near an elementary school. And the object was, like I say, it was stationary for a while. They're watching it. They get a good look at it. And all of a sudden, this thing just shoots up and then takes off at an angle, and then takes off at another angle, moves again, and moves off to the east. So it was a very short duration sighting. And let's see, there were many sightings. David Webb documents all kinds of interesting encounters in his book, 1973, Year of the Humanoids. There was this one is kind of a famous one, but it's one of these things where there's some aspects that seem like perhaps it was legitimate, but there are other things that make it seem like it was a hoax. The police chief, Greenhaw, in North Carolina, I'm sorry, in Alabama, Falkville, Alabama, he gets a call, routine call. A woman says that she sees this light. He comes out, doesn't see anything. Now he's going back, and he sees along the road this tall, silver-suited humanoid. Now he took several photographs of this thing, and they're classic. You've seen them in all kinds of UFO magazines over the year. But if you look at them, they're in color, a little blurry, but it looks like a guy in a fire suit with some aluminum foil embellishments, pointed ears and so forth, pointed top and so forth. Not convincing at all. It's just that this guy claimed that he saw this thing run and it was like it was running, jumping on, like it had springs on the bottom of its feet. And so what it was moving supposedly very quickly, something that if he was hoaxed, somebody could not move that quickly in the suit. He couldn't keep up with it. So he gets in his car, he loses it. And so if this guy is a hoaxer, which may well be, and this was in the midst of a time period when a lot of people were seeing strange critters, so to speak, humanoids. And another note is that this is, again, before the Greys took over. Today we always think of the Greys, that classic, the large head, the large black eyes, tiny little spindly body, and there's virtually none of those reports in this time period. The alleged humanoids in conjunction with these craft are all quite a variety. Now, this guy, somebody sets his trailer on fire. His wife leaves him. He gets divorced, and they fire him from his job. So if he really did see something, or if this was real, he had to have been hoaxed, but I don't see how anybody could have pulled this off. But so if he did actually hoax this himself, his karma caught up to him. And of course, we're not going to deal a whole lot with Hickson and Parker. This is the same time period in October in Pascagoula, Mississippi, when Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker were the two Pascagoula fishermen. They were taken from the dock, floated into some kind of a craft, and by what looked like they were kind of wrinkly humanoid beings with pointed ears and so forth. And that's a very classic case. And Charles Hickson is left us a while ago, but Calvin Parker finally broke his silence recently and has written a couple of books about what happened to him. And if I have it here, there was in the list of other humanoid encounters on the same date, October 11th, a young man named Tanner Williams, a little kid, 3 years old. He was playing outside. He went in and he told his mother that he was playing with a monster. And the monster he described looked just exactly like these Pascagoula aliens or what have you. But here's the part I want to talk about Pascagoula. Raymond Ryan and his brother Rainey on November 6th. Now, this is a few weeks after the Pascagoula incident. They're out and they're fishing in their boat, and they see this strange light in the river. Now, I remember this from a clipping. Mac, do you remember the UFO news clipping service?
Oh, yeah, sure.
That was a great. Too bad they don't have it anymore. But they would gather articles from. You would find out that UFO sightings were always going on, but it's just that they were more. They weren't carried beyond the local newspaper, so these things were always active. Every once in a while, one would hit the wire services, and everybody would hear about it. But I remember reading about this strange light that they were. They would put their oar in the water, and it would recede, and. So they were out there fishing. This thing was in less than 10 feet of water, and they pursued it. The one guy had a motorboat, but they couldn't keep up with it, and they got a hold of the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard came out, and they in that 16-foot fiberglass boat, and the guy's name was Nations and Cruz were the two guys, and they didn't see it at first, but then they came up to another boat, and the guy in the boat is pointing down like there's something down there. And as they approach it, they see this light. It's maybe 4 feet by 5 feet. It's so many feet under the water. They poke their oar at it, toward it, and the light seemed to actually, like an X-ray, shine through the oar. It was really strange. It didn't leave a shadow. And the Coast Guard tried to pursue it, but it got out of sight and went away. So that was the only reason we know that is because Leonard Stringfield, he contacted the people in this newspaper article and actually followed up on it. So that's a pretty interesting incident that, we assume may be tied to the Pascagoula incident, but of course we really don't know.
Right. Can I just interrupt you here for a second?
Absolutely.
I got something through the mail the other day. We should talk about this off air maybe. That someone has done a musical album about the Pascagoula sightings. Have you heard that?
No.
That they've done a musical adaptation to it?
Really?
Yeah, and this the one where the aliens looked like big carrots and they had the hand and 2 eyes.
They had like
many people comment on that one that they think that may have been some kind of a robot or a mechanical device.
Okay. Well, in the form of a carrot.
What?
What are they thinking of?
In the original book called The Pascagoula Incident, supposedly Hickson, under hypnosis, saw through some kind of a divider. It was kind of a window or a partition or something like that, where he saw beings inside that looked more humanoid.
Yes.
And if that's, again, it's just hypnosis, so you have to be careful. But the implication would be that there were, humanoid beings on there operating these androids or whatever they were.
It's those DARPA guys up to no good, don't you think, CC?
It could be. I thought that when I first heard this case, I was pretty hard and fast that these guys were maybe having a little too much of the alcoholic beverages and out fishing. But as time has gone by, and when I saw a very short clip of a local news station when the second man who has survived is talking about it, I changed my opinion greatly. And then when I have compared it to a couple other cases where they have talked about, although with the carrot shape, yes, you're talking about people using things that they understood or that were common to their experience at that time.
Okay.
To try to talk about the shapes.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that always that caught me was when they talked about the lobster type claws.
Yes,
well,
right.
These guys are fisher type guys, fishermen. They're doing this activity, crayfish, all those kind of things. So they likened it to things that they saw in their normal course of their life. And I really have become a champion of these guys because I think that they have a very, very unique experience that crosses and lines up with a number of other cases that go along with it.
Right. Well, they were at the Exeter Festival with us, weren't they, Switch? Or one of them was, wasn't
he? No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Charles Hickson is long deceased, and Calvin Parker is making the rounds on the radio.
Like people that are running for presidential office, Mack could have been with somebody there, so that's long since deceased. That's not a problem.
I don't get that joke, but that's okay.
Was somebody
but
dressed
Charles
up
Hickson
as a
was
carrot?
a repeater. Charles Hickson saw more than
oh really? Yeah. Okay.
He would be out hunting, and all of a sudden it would get dead silent, what they call the Oz factor, and he'd see a UFO. And of course, you know who Ray Stanford is. A great UFO researcher. He's the one that investigated the Socorro, New Mexico landing.
Yep.
Well, he went with Charles Hickson to the 1 year anniversary on the dock there where they were taken, just to see if anything would happen. He didn't really think anything would, but he was Ray Stanford had the Starlight International project down in Texas, where he had kind of a Fox Landing strip for UFOs, but he was getting all kinds of strange objects on the film. Well, he took Charles Hickson down there because he suspected that he might draw something in, and sure enough, they had a real classic UFO sighting of like a bright light in the sky. And he said Hickson didn't react to it very much at first, but then afterwards he said something like, well, golly, did you see that? Just kind of took it in stride.
Okay.
But he had several repeat experiences, as some people do that are in this kind of a situation.
Right. So listen, that's I always that's a fascinating story. Isn't Pascagoula, isn't it right close to a Navy base or a shipyard, though? Right, CC?
Yes, it is. Both.
Yes.
Both. Okay. Both. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Hey, listen, what we're going to do now? We're going to take a break. Thank you for that report, there, Switchy. Let me give Switch us. We never clap this.
My pleasure.
Yeah, never ever do we recognize Switch's accomplishments ever.
Hey, Club, did that pass the security check? Any swearing on that? Anything we have to cut out, Clubby?
No, it sounds good, but I wanted to just let Switchy know the good news that Blue Book is being renewed by the network for another season.
Ooh, yeah.
Yes. And if we are going to diss a network that's not supporting the show,
that'd be it.
We should get it right. And it was correct. It is history, and I do not like the show any more than Switch does.
No. Okay. So listen.
It's off.
On that note, why don't we take a commercial break now? And we'll be right back after this. You're listening to Mack Maloney's Military Exile Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. We'll be right back.
Hey fans, Lois Lane here, and I think it's time for you to get some free swag from Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show. We have badges, pins, bar coasters, and some very cool 3D show logos that we just can't wait to give away. Just go to MackMaloney.com and hit the contact button. Send us an email with your mailing address, and we'll ship the free swag out to you quicker than Switch can eat breakfast. That's MackMaloney.com and hit the contact button to get your free swag today. Requests for tasteful news of Wan Wan will be handled on a case-by-case basis.
Hey, welcome back to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. I'll tell you, what a show we're having tonight. It's so good that we've said so many times during the broadcast, I don't think this is ever going to make it on the air. Anyway.
It's just too cool.
Wan Wan is here, as you can
hear. That's one way of looking at it.
The Coco is here. Commander
Good
Cobra.
evening, all.
Al Ronaldo, famous UFO mechanic, is here.
He's even here when he's not here.
Right.
Yeah, really.
That's what's good about him. And on the phone with us, the man on the way up, okay? Switchblade Steve Ward from Battle Creek, Michigan, but I get a feeling it's going to be from Beverly Hills, California.
That's right.
Because we were on just a week ago.
He's going to be hard to get pretty soon.
Right. And he's had like 4 more speaking engagements, booked just in the week. Okay, so what's the magic? You get the magic touch there, Switchy.
I don't really know how to explain it, but something that's very cool that happened was I'm actually a published author now. I'm in a book called Weird Winged Wonders, The Twilight World of Cryptid Creatures. It's one of Tim Beckley's books where he puts together with several different authors.
Okay.
And so I'm in really good company. I'm in with Brad Steiger.
Yes.
Alan Greenfield.
Right.
Lon Strickler.
Okay.
Paul Eno. Did I say Paul Eno?
Paul, yep.
And
friend of the
Albert Rosales, among others.
Yeah,
and my name's even on the cover.
And what did you write? You wrote one of the sections? Well,
it takes a bit of explanation. Brent Raines, who does Alternate Perceptions magazine, online magazine.
Yes.
I met him at the Mothman Festival.
Okay.
He had me do a interview, but it was he wrote a couple questions, and so he just let me go wild. I wrote it was like a 5-part answer to all these questions in his magazine, and it was a lot of fun. He was very encouraging, just had me keep going.
Right.
Well, Tim Beckley took the part of that out that pertains to the Mothman, and of course it's about winged creatures, so the Mothman and the Mothman Festival and so forth.
Sure.
So it was a nice surprise. So I've actually can finally say, yeah, I've got a book.
Wow, yeah, gee.
Fantastic.
It is exciting.
It's not only mine, but it's like I say, I'm in very good company.
I'm just happy to find out, Steve, that you're not as introverted in your writing as you are when you're on the show with us. That's great that you have an outlet that you can really let your inner personality come out, because you just don't show that kind of enthusiasm when you're on the show with us.
The way the show is going, I understand that I'm supposed to come in and save the show tonight.
No, believe me, that ship sailed.
Goodness gracious.
That ship sailed.
I'm ready for my close-up.
You are right.
Mel.
You went off the rails a while ago.
Yeah.
Now, I was reading between the lines, and it could be there's just empty space there, and I read something into it. I don't know.
No, your instincts are right on. So I'm guessing. So how many?
You're either the Titanic or the iceberg. You pick which you are tonight.
Which
buddy.
one? Yeah, right. Are you the hitter or the hittee? So you are one of how many writers in this compilation?
Well, let's see. There's I've got it right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. About 10.
Okay, so I'm guessing
8 or 10. Yeah.
I'm guessing they gave you what, about $25,000, $30,000 for this?
I think I get some copies at a discounted price.
Okay, but you are a published author, so
that's right. There you go.
There's a lot of joy in that, and you can really pick up chicks. If you wanted to. Anyway,
that's really handy.
I'll give you a report. I'll give you.
That'll be Switch.
I will give you a report on that when that happens.
That'll be Switch after dark. Okay. Or
Well,
sad.
it's Valentine's Day, so this ought to come in handy for
SAD sad.
Okay, I've got a great report tonight.
Okay, I just got to do one joke before we do it, okay?
All right.
On Jimmy Kimmel once, not that I ever watch him or anything, and we'll lose half our audience with this joke.
You just came across it on YouTube or something.
Or something, and he said, well, today's Valentine's Day, or to all Star Trek fans, February 14th. Because
it wasn't bad.
They don't get laid a lot.
Oh, got it. All right.
Wow. If I have to explain it to you two guys.
I got one right over.
Well, obviously,
how bad is my material?
Saturday Night Live episode where Shatner was on there and he plays. He's aggravated. He's at the UFO convention or the Star Trek convention. Mm-hmm. And he just loses it when he's on stage. You have to YouTube it. It's absolutely great. Really? He looks at one guy. You over there dressed as the Vulcan, Spock. Have you ever kissed a girl?
Spock.
And
yes.
It's just absolutely classic.
I know someone who.
I got it.
Oh, you got a William Shatner story?
No, actually, Valentine's Day tomorrow. I heard today is National Mistress Day.
Really? Yeah. Well, you have to give two gifts.
Well, you got to take care of them both.
Wow. So, okay.
You don't want to leave one out in the cold.
That's coming from the Sicilian side of you, I'm guessing, right? Don't they call them gumas?
Mine's the same woman in both cases.
Yeah, mine too.
Oh, listen to this.
Wow.
Wow.
Pandering to the audience.
No, just pandering to my wife.
Yeah, mine too. Thank you,
Very good.
JJ. Okay. Both of you from the boot, right? Are you saying you're Italian this week? You change it every week.
I'm always Italian.
Really?
Occasionally I'm Irish, but
oh wow, he just gave me
my
the
ancestry DNA.
Oh, you did. They sell the DNA to other people after they do that. They do.
I just thought of that.
Yep. Okay.
When they need to harvest organs, they know where to go.
They know where to go. Well, they might pass on him, but nothing that there's anything wrong with you, JJ. He's coming right across the board at me.
I'll bring in the report and show you how.
Okay, so you're half Italian and half Filipino, correct?
There's more than that going on.
To more halves.
I'll bring in the report.
We're cutting into Switch's time.
Hey, Steve,
wow.
What's your nationality, and what do you have for us tonight?
Yeah.
Well, Mack and I are published authors.
Yeah, see? Go ahead.
Okay, I'm ready with this report.
Okay,
we got to get going, man.
Right.
We got it. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Let's go.
Okay. We're in the Sierra Nevadas. Focus it a little closer. The Tahoe National Forest, and then right down to Cisco Grove. It's September 1964. Classic UFO abduction case, or attempted abduction. We got a bow hunter named Donald Shrum. He faced a nearly 12-hour ordeal. He's in the dark. He's completely alone. And according to these great researchers, Noe Torres and Ruben Uriarte, they wrote a book called Aliens in the Forest that chronicled this actually a classic case that was first revealed by Jim and Cora Lorenzen in one of their old books.
Okay. Yep.
And they said that this Donald Shrum ended up having his own personal war of the worlds. Okay. Now, I want to flash forward 3 weeks. Okay. Mm-hmm. And we'll get to the ordeal in just a second.
Okay.
Donald Shrum and his wife were being interviewed by
Sorry. Sorry, Switchy. Go ahead, please.
That's okay. It's your show. I'm just a published author. Okay.
Wow. Holy cow.
Elitist status.
Yeah, please.
Okay. They're in a house. They're off the McClellan Air Force Base in a house barely furnished. They're being. It reminds me of that house in the Maury Island incident. With Fred Chrisman.
Oh right, sure.
Okay, but they're at a table, at the kitchen table. That's about all there is in there. And this Captain McLeod and Sergeant Major Barnes are interviewing them. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now the McClellan base is it's the Logistics Command headquarters, and it's connected to Wright-Patterson.
Oh right, okay.
Which Wright-Patterson steeped in UFO lore
sure.
and history, and where Project Sign originated.
Okay, right.
Now, they hadn't sought any publicity. It was due to several circumstances where they got a hold of a retired astronomer. He heard the story. He thought he was credible, and he connected the Air Force. So at this point, they still have this thing quiet. Now, here's the story. Oh, and also, at this point, this guy is actually afraid that he still might have radiation poisoning.
Okay.
Okay. So we're back to the story. In September, the three bow hunters from Sacramento. This is actually September 4th, 1964. Vincent Alvarez and Tim Trueblood are the other two bow hunters. They're from Aerojet General Corporation. They made the Titan rocket engines, the Gemini Voyager probes, and so forth.
Yep.
Now, these guys are not engineers. Shrum is he's a painter and a welder.
Okay. Yep.
So they're out there hunting. They get separated. One of them, Shrum, goes down a ridge, but it's got a dead end. He has to come back. It's getting dark, so he's going to find a nice, convenient tree to spend the night, since the the camp is maybe a mile and a half back. He's not going to risk it in the dark.
Okay.
Finds a nice 25-foot to 30-foot tree.
Okay.
It's about 9 p.m. He sees a light, kind of a meandering light. He knows it's not an airplane, but he thinks, a helicopter's come to rescue me.
Mm-hmm.
So he makes a mistake. He gets down from the tree, builds 3 signal fires about 10 feet apiece.
Okay.
As this light gets closer, it's attached to something really big because it's blocking out stars behind it. And then he can see that he can't get a really good bead of the size, but there's like these 3 giant windows or openings on the side, maybe 30 feet across. A disc object, just like object, comes out of one of them and lands in the distance. Okay. Now, he climbs back up in the tree, and he's in camo. He thinks, he's going to be okay.
Yep.
Nothing's going to see him. So then he hears this noise through the brush, and he sees that these 2 little figures show up. They're about 5 feet tall. Mm-hmm. They're kind of stocky. He doesn't know if they're wearing a hood or a helmet.
Okay.
But he's got these big round black eyes, which again he doesn't know if they're eyes or goggles. But up to 2 years afterwards, he would wake up in a cold sweat at night and scream about the eyes. So he's still as anything up in the tree, not moving around. But these little guys come up to the base of the tree and stare right up at him.
Okay, so when he saw this light, this meandering light attached to something that was blocking out the stars, he thought, "Wow, this is a UFO." He thought, right?
Well, once he saw that it was just a light attached to something else, he knew it wasn't a helicopter. So, that's what he thought. It's a flying saucer because he'd read about them in the newspapers.
So then there's these 2 little weird guys down the bottom looking up at him, and he's kind of like caught in the tree by these 2 characters.
And then it gets worse.
Okay, go ahead.
Because from another direction, he hears another noise, and this thing that he calls it a robot. It looks similar. It's kind of stocky. You wonder if one of these guys were in it. Mm-hmm. But first he sees this 2 red-orange eyes coming through the brush, and then it comes up to where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And then this thing has got kind of like a big jaw-like thing. It opens, a cloud of smoke or vapor comes up, and when it reaches him, he can't breathe. All the oxygen's gone, and he passes out.
Okay.
The only thing that saves him
is one explanation. Go ahead, please.
The only thing that saves him from falling from the tree is his bow, which it's a 60-pound recurve bow with a 28-inch pull.
Cobra has one of those. Yeah.
Okay.
28-inch pull there, Cobra. Is that your bow?
No, actually, mine's a 28-pound pull, but that's different.
All right. Okay.
So he's lucky because the way he falls, the bow is caught by the branches, and because when he's out for just briefly, it catches him, and he doesn't fall to the ground.
Wow, lucky.
When he wakes up, he's got the dry heaves.
Oh, okay.
And this keeps going. And then it gets really weird.
Seems like this happened to me before. There was some vapor involved.
He told you,
climbed the tree, almost fell off, dry heaves the next day. There's a little bit of familiarity with this.
Like a night at the restaurant.
I told you guys I was going to save the show. Okay, now.
Okay, you have 7 minutes.
Okay. 7 minutes.
One of these guys had a chainsaw.
Iceberg Captain Iceberg up to Fort Mount.
Oh, that's good. We need ice.
The thing is, this guy came forward a few years ago, and these guys interviewed him. He's always been considered truthful, and he also went under regressive hypnosis. Didn't reveal very much more, just a few more details, because he was really awake through the whole thing.
Right
now. These creatures are making kind of like a hooting noise. The owls are not what they seem, and there's a response from the mothership. And it seems that every time this communication or whatever it is goes back and forth, they try a new ploy. They one of the things they do when he climbs up the tree further and lashes himself with his belt, so that if he passes out again, he's not going to hit the bottom.
Okay.
And then he wakes up and he sees these little creeps are climbing up the tree at him.
Nice. Okay.
So while he's got the dry heave, he's trying to recover, and so he shakes the tree, and these creeps, they go back down.
Right.
He also kept throwing fire at them. He lit a book of matches.
Okay.
Because the first thing this robot thing did was to put out the fires there. It just kind of used its arm to brush them away.
Wow.
So he's doing everything. He's lit his hat.
Smokey
he's
the
ripping up
robot.
his clothes. he's throwing bits of lit clothing down at them, and every time they do, they back away.
Switch. He has a bow and arrow. Why isn't he shooting them with the bow and arrow?
We're getting to that.
Okay, Cliff.
He doesn't want to hit the creatures because he's afraid of retaliation, but he has no problem hitting this robot thing.
Okay, right.
And he hits it directly in the chest.
Okay.
And then it kind of makes a spark. It backs up several feet. Then he's got 2 more arrows. He hits it again and again. Mm-hmm. And all these things are doing is just kind of putting them off for a while. And then another robot shows up, or whatever it is. They come together. There's sort of like a communication thing going on with flashes of light.
Yes.
And then there's a big blast, and this vapor comes up, and he's out. The next thing he knows,
again,
everybody's gone. All these things are gone, and it's like the dawn is just starting to break a little bit, and he's hanging by his belt. So, and so one of the other guys, they find him. Vincent Alvarez comes and finds him in the morning. He's only got his T-shirt on, his slacks. It's freezing weather, and this guy has been through one hell of an ordeal. Okay. So now we're back to the present. We're back to the Air Force guys, which are treating them like crap, unfortunately. And so they're trying to come up with explanations. The first thing they say is, one of them says, you might have encountered some Japanese people.
Oh, see, that's not
And they
right.
just look at each other.
Okay.
You might have, maybe there were some kids playing a prank. Okay. Oh, maybe it was a military op. Now, Mrs. Shrum, her father was a retired, Albert Legg was a retired Air Force guy.
Okay.
And he'd already checked to see if there had been any ops going on at the time, and there wasn't.
Okay.
Now, the reason he thought he might have some kind of radiation sickness was he had this terrible pain in his chest, and he was sick. It just turned out that when he kept shaking the tree for dear life, that caused the bruising in his chest. He was just very sick. But for a couple of weeks, they were afraid because they had no resources to actually get checked for radiation sickness.
Right.
It was his wife, Mrs. Shrum, they got a hold of Donald Kehoe. Mm-hmm. Donald Kehoe had Paul Cerny, a NICAP guy, from those that interview him. He's the guy that took the original story, keeping their names secret.
Right.
And like I say, it was only a few years ago the authors of the book Aliens in the Forest finally got them to come forward and tell the whole story.
Right.
But this didn't end here, because when he'd be out camping or whatever, he and his buddies never had any fear of the woods, but after this they did, because one of the guys, Vincent Alvarez, actually did see the craft from a distance, so they knew he'd seen something.
Right.
But he would get this. Donald Trump would get this kind of a buzzing in his head when they'd be out camping or whatever, and he knew they were close. It happened one time on the camping trip. They're out in an area called Westwood in California.
Okay.
And he gets, he hears this buzzing, and his wife and his friends can see him turn around and just look in the distance at this ridge, and sure enough, there's this light that comes by over the ridge, and then shortly thereafter, a smaller one.
Let me just throw. I'm going to throw this question to Al Ronaldo. Okay, because you look so interested over there. If you went out, you to me would be someone, you and Cobra, not so much JJ. I could see you and Cobra going out bow hunting overnight in the woods. Okay,
all right.
So let's say that happened to you, and you went up a tree and you had to lash yourself to the tree. Little people, robots, UFOs, and everything. Would you ever go back out in the woods again?
Not in your life.
No. Would you?
No.
Cobra.
It probably.
Oh, jeez. Okay. So,
well, I'd at least go more heavily armed.
Yeah, or something. So they went back. They love bow hunting so much they went back out.
I'd be afraid these guys would have chainsaws.
Or something. Chainsaws would be great if you had someone up a tree. Very good one.
Right. None of this vapor stuff. A chainsaw.
Wow. I'm just going to say one thing about this story that I love. Okay. And I've read a lot of those old stories. I love those old 50s UFO books. They were just great. Donald Kehoe, probably one of the best investigators ever, former Marine colonel or major, quit his job with the military and wrote some really good books, had a lot of really good resources and everything, and I don't think you're going to see someone like him again. Anyway, I've never heard a robot. The very few mention robots. It's usually, creatures from outer space, So don't you think it's weird there, Switchy, that there are robots involved?
It's very rare. There's a couple. I think there was one in was it Brooksville, Florida, but that particular account was kind of dubious. The thing is that everybody that interviewed this guy from past to present is convinced that he believes this, that he had a real experience.
Right.
But see, my thing is, you look at, we've talked about all kinds of abductions and attempted abductions on this show.
Right.
This guy's up in the tree, and the robot releases the gas, and they're trying to gas him so he'll fall down, and they can, like they're hunters or something.
Yeah, right.
We've heard stories of people being floated through walls. Those really bizarre ones in Brazil, where the hooks or whatever come down and grab you, or you're simply just levitated.
Right.
What were these, like, retro aliens that hadn't gotten the new means of abducting people?
Yeah, isn't that funny? I mean, you always think that
old school.
Yeah, they're old school aliens. Very good.
We got to undo
they're
the belt.
1950s aliens, not modern day.
Right.
Aliens.
You see, that's what's strange about it. It seems like the aliens in the shape, particularly of UFOs, change as things get more modern. You know what I mean? People back then used to look. They'd see a flying saucer, literally look like a tea saucer turned upside down. Right. Now they see triangles and really kind of cool stuff. It kind of matches the time we live in a way.
That is important, because there are changes over the last several decades. A lot of changes in the way the crafts look, the creatures look, and the techniques are.
Right.
We don't even know for sure that these are grays. They look kind of like grays, but not exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Something a little bit different.
Isn't there a case down in Mississippi where the aliens had lobster hands?
The Pascagoula. Let's see, was it Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker, 1973, October. That was during the huge wave through the U.S. when all those landings occurred.
Okay.
And but there was hardly anything. I don't think there were any grays reported.
Right.
David Webb wrote a book called 1973, Year of the Humanoids, where he covers Pascagoula and all those.
Mm-hmm.
And it's. It could be that these they call these things the robots or androids or whatever, because they weren't really human.
Right,
supposedly during one of the regressive hypnosis sessions, Charles Hickson did see some other human-looking people on there, implying that the Pascagoula aliens with the pincher-like hands were maybe androids or something. I don't know. The whole experience could be illusory. We don't know.
A big Navy base down in Pascagoula, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a shipyard.
Yeah. I met my uncle. He was on assignment down there for electric boat people, and he told me, he says, "I know I'm going to heaven because I've been to hell. I was in Pascagoula." Oh, wow. Anyway, so so that's an interesting story, Switch, because like you say, they're like retro aliens. I mean, what's going on? I mean, let's say this really happened. As he said, it's not aliens with, big triangles, people being floated here and there. It's like, they're not really well equipped or
clueless.
Clueless.
They're going to Home Depot for a ladder. So we can climb up and get the guy.
Well, what about a butterfly net?
Or a net. Net would work. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, but he had the belt on. He was lashed to the tree.
I mean, imagine what the aliens thought. They go, wait a minute, this guy's up in the tree. He's shooting arrows at us. Crying out loud. Release the gas. Okay, that knocked him out. Oh, he can't come down because he got caught. Go ahead, Hal. You look like you know what you're talking about.
Well, if you take your belt and you loosen it, how much extra room
How
do
much
you have?
belt do you have, or what's the diameter?
You could wrap it around a tree and still have it wrapped around you.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Right. How about this? The guy went out drinking, and he had to come up with something to explain all the marks on his body and why he didn't have his pants and stuff. So, this is the best he could come up with. Yeah, they were robots, and they were, Japanese-looking aliens or something. Who knows? Let's go back out hunting again next weekend. What were they hunting? Any idea what they were shooting?
Deer. They're bow hunting deer.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay.
So they didn't have any firearms because you can't have them, or at least you couldn't then when you were bow hunting.
Okay.
There were a couple of arrows they recaptured. He had one of the arrows that he gave the Air Force guys, and they said, we're going to test this because there were some metallic fragments or spots on it or something.
Okay.
And of course, they never got it back. When he went back to the site, because he was very cooperative with the Air Force, they came, he told me exactly where it was. They came there and cleaned the whole thing out, but they missed one thing. There was another arrow that went into the brush. So they turned that over to NICAP, but they didn't pack it properly, and they never got any good results from it.
Okay. Wow. Man, that's crazy. That's a crazy story there.
It is a crazy story, and we only had a little tidbits of it back from the Lorenzens UFO Occupants or something like that back in the 60s.
Right.
One of my favorite books as a kid.
Yeah.
And so finally they came out with the full story, and it's a hell of a story.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, thank you very much for joining us and for updating us on your career on the rise. You are the man on the way up.
Can we get your autograph the next time you're in town?
How about that?
Absolutely. I'm gonna practice it this week.
Okay.
So you got to have a cool looking autograph.
You got to make it short and street, just like that. Make it look like you're always in a hurry.
Make it like a symbol.
A symbol would be great. Yeah, a symbol of it, like a cornflake or a piece of shredded wheat would be actually interesting.
And then I could be the symbol that was formerly a paranormal investigator.
Yes, exactly.
Formerly known as Switch.
That rolls off the tongue.
Possibly a gray.
I was in the hospital with my son for 18 months.
When he got injured, I wasn't prepared, but I knew I had to be strong.
When I was told about John's injury, I was in complete shock. I just remember rushing into his room and giving him a big hug and letting him know I was there.
These veterans and families are just a few of the heroes we serve at Homes for Our Troops. For thousands of severely injured veterans, everyday life is filled with barriers.
It was really the little things throughout the house. Counters that you can't roll up to. I had to drag my wheelchair down steps.
I want to help, but he is so determined.
At Homes for Our Troops, we build specially adapted custom homes with features like wheelchair access, roll-in showers, and automatic door openers that allow them to function independently and focus on their recovery and family.
This house is freedom. It's hope. It's a new beginning.
This house has given me my family back.
To learn more, visit hfotusa.org.
Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Mill Track Style Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. We might have to cut out the first 4.5 seconds of the segment there.
Think so?
JJ. Anyway, Juan is in the studio with us tonight.
He's going to charge us more for this show.
Yeah. Well, if he ever listens, maybe, I don't want to hear it. Yeah, anyway, talking about the boss. Coco was on the line with us, but he had to go once again on this secret mission.
As they say in the trade, he had to fly.
Yeah, he had to fly. He won't really tell us what he's doing, but just in the past 2 months or so, he's been keeping strange hours, let's say.
I know.
And he disappears kind of, like a...
he's not as vague about his whereabouts like M is, but, he's getting there.
Right. But he says, I read his emails, and I said, I have no idea what he's talking about.
I have that same problem.
Yeah, it's like, military speak, to the 10th degree. And
I'm thinking that maybe you're getting it. I'm the only one that isn't, so I don't say anything about it.
No. I write back, I go, you got it, bro. Anyway,
I tend to prioritize the YouTubes with the Hollywood vampires and the Rolling Stones. Rolling Stones, like you said, they're always recording what they do. They're always playing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You ain't kidding. Yeah. The one I sent you the other day where they're just kind of playing.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's.
I think that was during that the blues and lonesome era.
It was just great. It was just, those guys. I don't know. A lot of people. I used to be hot and cold on them, tell you the truth, but the longer they last, the more I appreciate them.
Me too. Me too.
And they're not phony about it. I mean, they are in it for why everyone.
They're in the early 70s to mid 70s.
Yeah. And they still do it. Who thought?
I think the youngest one is Ron Wood. He's only 70.
Yeah.
Charlie's the oldest one. Charlie's older than Keith.
Ron Wood's wife is 22 years old.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Anyway. On the line with us also is Switcherino up there in the Bowl of Flakes, Battle Creek, Michigan. Switchy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm here. Great to be here.
Wow.
I guess I was looking for a little more of a lead-in.
Okay.
Maybe I was waiting for the music cue.
Well, the music. What music? Now he wants music.
He wants.
Okay.
Actually, he deserves music.
Usually Bowl of Flakes.
A drum roll
really?
And stuff like that.
All right. Okay. Well, give him.
Yeah, we got to do a drum roll thing for him.
It may cost a little bit more money. We don't have a big special effects budget.
Or something shot from guns, but then that's Quaker Oats. That's
really? Yeah,
that's not how he rolls.
They're not up there. I thought Battle Creek was your cue. No, Switchy?
Oh, that's, I guess, yes. Okay.
Okay.
I'll go with
all right.
that.
That's all right. I'm going to send you a case of 5 Hour Energy. Okay. And it kind of, it works, right? One, doesn't it?
Yep.
I'm awake. Anyway. So also with us is Emily M. I almost said the lovely Emily M, but see, You're not supposed to say that anymore.
That's true. You'll end up being tagged with the Me Too hashtag.
The Me Too. Yeah,
that's right. So far, M hasn't laid that on us yet.
Not yet.
I have not.
Okay. All right. That's good.
We'll be up there with Harvey.
It's better than the alternative. But anyway, thank you, M, for joining us. And so what this is, darn it. It's supposed to be 7 minutes long, and I'm already up to 4 minutes here with the mishmash.
Let's get rolling here.
Yeah, but we can't. It has to be 7 minutes exactly, and I've burned 4 of it. Okay.
See what happens, Emily? Every time we get you on the show, it's like we get sidetracked.
This week, that's what it is,
Well, where's the program director?
You're talking to him, buddy. That's the big problem.
We got to get this guy on track, and it's just impossible.
Well, you can hire Steve now.
Yeah.
There you go.
Program director, you bet it. You get time in your hands, right? You're retiree?
That's right. I'm retired.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Well, can I tell you something? We'll salute you. You are now the program director.
Okay. There's going to be more music.
Plus,
more music.
He'll be perfect for the M section of the show, the M segment, because he's not as over. What's the word?
Enthralled.
Twitter-pated. Take a Disney term from.
I think it's snuck a W in there.
Cinderella.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, Twitter-pated. Look it up.
Okay.
He may not be as Twitter-pated every time.
Emily. That's from Bambi.
Was it from Bambi?
Oh,
that's right, Bambi. That's right.
Why can't you get that
Thumper?
straight?
I don't know.
Thumper that got Twitter-pated.
Really?
Right.
Whoa, that sounds filthy.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. Well, now you have to explain it to me. Hold it. Thumper is his buddy, right?
Yeah.
The rabbit.
He's a bunny rabbit.
He died in the fire, didn't he?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Anyway, so Thumper he got what? Twitterfied? What's that? What is
Twitter-pated?
Well, there's this female bunny rabbit came by and he got all Twitter-pated.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I know what it means.
And there's a whole poem that goes with it.
Yeah. Really?
Expressing his love and affection, just going head over heels.
I see a Viagra ad down the road.
Overwhelmed by her countenance.
Cialis. Right. I see a Cialis thing.
The point is that Mac and I are always Twitter-pated every time M just opens her mouth on the show. Steve is able to control himself better than we can.
Okay. All right. Wow. That was a long
He
circle.
still may be Twitter-pated, but he can control it.
There's a bigger circle than the first
thing. It's like the circle of life when Windows gets slow on you.
There you go. You know what we should do?
What?
We should probably take a break. Okay. And kind of start all over again. Okay. All right. So you're listening to Mack Maloney's Mill Track Style Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. One is here.
Yes, I am.
Switch is here. Emily M is here. And this is Mac. And so stay listening, stay tuned, and we'll be right back after this.
Do you know where the world's most secret bases are located? Do you know what spooky action at a distance means? Is there a conspiracy by aliens to prevent us from conquering space? And where is the best place in the United States to see a real UFO? Find the answers to all these questions and more in Mack Maloney's new book, Mack Maloney's Haunted Universe. Visit places you never knew existed: the Phantom Tunnels of Tokyo, the UFO Trail in South America, Hong's Hat, and the very mysterious M Triangle. Mack Maloney's Haunted Universe contains hundreds of reports on ghosts, haunted planes and ships, weird celebrity deaths, mysterious sounds, and a breakdown of every monster in America, state by state. You've heard him talk about it on the radio. Now, get all of Mack's paranormal research in one large volume. Mack Maloney's Haunted Universe, with a foreword by the very famous Wan Wan. On sale now in your local bookstore or on Amazon.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Mill Track Style Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Macaroni.
Macaroni, right.
I get letters from people who say that if I say
sauce on that macaroni.
If I say Mack Maloney quick, it sounds like I'm saying macaroni.
It does sound like macaroni.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Or it sounds like this is blah, blah, blah.
That voice you hear. Girls, you've been forewarned. The very famous Wan Wan is here.
Did you say forewarned?
Forewarned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello,
in the earlier segment.
I'm glad you're staying with us in the show.
Okay. Thank
I do love you all.
He had dressed all in black because of the Bob Kraft insinuations, situations. It was conspiracy. The Bob Kraft conspiracy.
The allegations that were made.
He could have been set up by the NFL office. It wouldn't be the first time that the commissioner went after him for something stupid.
I think he was the only one that didn't have any control.
Who's that?
They're talking about slave employees or something. I think he was drugged up in his limousine or something.
Well, he went twice
said,
in 2 days.
Hey, you're going to go in this new Chinese restaurant. You'll love it.
Yeah. Well, they say what's the one
they
time
put a blindfold on him.
One time it's a curiosity. 2 times it's a habit. On the line with us.
Maybe he went there to get his money back.
That's true. All right. See, you should have been a lawyer there, JJ.
I'm trying to figure it out.
On the line. Maybe this person will figure it out for us. From Battle Creek, Michigan, up there where all the series are made, the Boulder Flakes, the almost equally very famous Switchblade Steve Ward.
So I'm not quite as famous yet, but I'm inching toward famousness.
If you want to put it that way. Yeah,
do you have an entourage yet?
Yeah, hairdressers. I had to fire my hairdressers.
Okay.
They don't do the part right. Yeah.
Okay. Be nice to the little people on the way up there, Switchy, because you're going to meet them on the way down.
There's always more little people I can step on.
Okay, all right.
See, he called for his pipe, then he called for his bowl of Frosted Flakes.
Yes,
and he called for his Fiddler's 3.
Okay, now listen. Tonight we have a technical mystery, as they say in the biz. We are highly registering right now, but when Switch says something, it goes off the board.
Let me turn my mic down.
Try that.
I think he's going through a different.
How about that?
That's
processor.
But now we can't hear him as well. Come in. Can you get it turned up a little bit there, Switchy? 1, 2, 3. Okay.
How about that?
That's good. Leave it at that. I don't know.
All right. I think the scale is different too.
Yeah, the screw. Yeah, there's funny things happen in this radio station, other than it being haunted by Bob the Ghost. But anyway, so 1-1 is here. Switch is here. So Switch, we have to ask you because the world wants to know. What did you have for breakfast this morning?
Eggs, bacon, and hash.
Oh, wow.
And black coffee.
Hash.
Oh, yeah, nice.
You emphasize the hash.
Thank you. You emphasize the hash. Thank you, Switchy. So what happened? You for years you ate Frosted Flakes, and then you started eating 100% bran or something.
Mac, I just didn't want to hear your disappointment. That's all.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You mean you really didn't eat? You didn't have that meal?
No. That's real.
You ate it especially for us?
Well, sometimes I'll have it for kind of a brunch or a lunch even.
Okay, really?
But I figured, no, you better have it for breakfast today so you can tell Mac that you didn't have those flakes.
Okay.
Bran flakes.
All right, well, let's review then, okay? So you had bacon and eggs, is that what you said?
Yes, scrambled eggs, bacon, and corned beef hash.
Okay. And did you make it yourself, or did the...
I did, but in a microwave.
Oh, man, this gets worse and worse.
Wrong.
Come on, how do you make that?
So wrong, Switch.
How do you make?
Oh, it's easy. I'm excellent at it.
How do you make scrambled eggs in a microwave?
You get a little thing. You mix your cheese in there, break your egg, put it in there, put it in for a minute and a half, and voila.
Wow, and that dispels with all the the hardship of putting in a frying pan and shaking it around a little bit.
Hey, listen, I ain't got time for that. These days,
I don't clean the pan afterwards. I don't blame him.
I used to have my hairdressers do that too, but I fired them. So
I see. Okay, all right. Well, those microwaves invented by GE, by the way. They took World War II technology.
I thought Raytheon invented.
Who?
Raytheon invented radar.
Radar, right? The modern radar. Yeah. Something is going on here, JJ. I don't know what it is. Something's wrong with the board tonight. I know that you're saying it's a different scale, but it seems to be going all over the place.
Yeah, now it's lower.
But anyway, so Switch. Okay, that's so you make it yourself, and if you don't mind us, butting into your personal life. What's the little lady say after you finish a plate of those bad boys?
She said the microwave bacon I put in the microwave.
Yes.
She says it smells like hell.
Oh yeah, okay. It doesn't smell like bacon. It smells like hell.
I don't know what it it claims to be bacon on the box. So
really? Oh, is that good quality bacon? Excellent.
It's that bacon that doesn't have to be refrigerated. Is that right?
Yeah, no, it has to be refrigerated.
Oh, it does. Okay, right. Then you're in the clear. We went into.
I was thinking it might have been beef jerky by mistake.
We went into a restaurant the other night, and usually just sit at the bar. This is Lois and I. We sit at the bar. We usually have appetizers and a drink instead of sitting down for a meal.
Right.
And we went into this really foofy place. You know the place, but they changed their appetizer menu, every month, and it was bacon. Meatballs wrapped in bacon.
Oh, yeah.
Bacon. This place, you were lucky if you got a friggin' salad at this place, and now they're throwing, meatballs wrapped in bacon at you. So I got them, and there was more bacon on that than I've eaten in 10 years. I ain't kidding you.
You were begging for more bacon.
Oh, it's great. It's great. Bacon is the worst thing you can eat, but, man, it tastes good. It's just something.
It's amazing what bad food there is out there that's...
Tastes good.
Yeah.
Don't you think God kind of goofed up? Why would he make the good stuff bad?
He's laughing at every time we're eating sugar, fat, and bacon.
Yeah, okay. So it was his invention. He's laughing at us.
Yeah.
So, Switchy, how you doing?
Beyond wonderful.
Okay, all right. And tonight you have a very strange topic. Is it, correct me if I'm wrong, because I probably am, is it Israel, giants, and UFOs?
You have hit it, yes, in the 1990s.
Yeah.
A investigator over there named Barry Chamish.
Yeah, yes. Okay.
There's all these things. It started in the late 80s and then accelerated in the early 1990s.
Yes,
it just a bizarre series of events. And he kind of wondered, when this started opening up, he wondered if he was going to be able to make a connection between the prophets of old and the angels of the Bible with all this. So he kind of had that on his mind as he got into this. Now, things started in the late 80s, just some very strange events. And when we look at the stuff, we tend to want to think E.T., or some other race or intelligence, and so forth. But when we look at these events, they're very hard to categorize. So what happened was September 28th, 1987. Now, when we get into the 90s, we're going to get to the really weird stuff, the landings. But in 1987, September 28th, Ami Akre, he's a 27-year-old auto mechanic. He's driving south near Shukmona Beach.
Yes.
And this is right along the Mediterranean.
Yes.
He spots at first what he thinks is a helicopter, maybe in trouble. It's very low. And then he stops, gets out of his car, and sees it's a classic disc-shaped object. All of a sudden, it gives off a bright red flash and vanishes. So he reports it. A couple days later, a local ufologist named Hadasha Arbel.
Yes.
He does an investigation. He goes there. He finds, this is really crazy, he finds this image. It's almost like it's burned into the sand, about 15 yards in diameter, kind of an ellipse. And there's a kind of an open space on it where it looks like a window and maybe an image of a person standing in the window. Yet this is all burned on the sand. It doesn't make any sense.
Wow.
A few years later, Barry Chamish was able to get the Sightings program that I think used to be on Fox in the mid-90s or so to come in there. And so they saved some of this sand, and when the Fox people, the Sightings people tried to photograph it, under the lights, this stuff just melted, the sand that they had kept.
What?
So it turned out it was, again, doesn't make any sense.
That's unfortunate.
It melted into nothingness?
It just melted. I don't know if it left a residue or whatever. They don't really say.
Okay.
But June 1988. By the way, it melted under the lights. They didn't really give a thing, say what the material was. Some of the stuff they found was very high in magnesium, I think.
Okay.
But anyway, 1988, they get a lot more of these disc-shaped craft have been seen. And then in April 89, two witnesses, the same area, the same beach, they see another one of these craft. This one seems to explode. Now, if we're thinking in terms of ET, visitors from beyond, why are these things exploding?
Right.
And it's like a bunch of the white metal shavings.
If the rover Israel,
fall.
they're probably shooting them down.
Well, let's hope not.
Okay, go ahead, please.
It's cool to the touch when they actually go up and touch these pieces of metal or whatever it is, and then they just turn to ash. This they did analyze. It was almost 100% magnesium.
Why would it be magnesium? That's a strange thing to build a UFO out of. You ever see magnesium, if it gets hot enough, how it burns?
No, I haven't.
You can't put it out. It's like an acetylene torch. It's dangerous if it catches on fire. I know that. Go ahead, please, Steve.
But then, early 90s, around Kadama, which is about 60 miles north of Tel Aviv.
Okay.
That's when we start to get the really strange landings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's about 6:30 a.m., March 20th, 1993. Zipporah Carmel. She's awakened at 6:30 a.m. Orange glow fills the room. She wakes up, goes outside. She sees this silver object on the ground. She describes it as kind of a silo-looking thing. She's wondering, what the heck is that doing there? And she's still kind of half asleep. There's beams of light coming out of this thing. And then she notices something standing next to it. First, she thinks it's a workman, but then she realizes whatever this is, she calls it a giant, 7 feet tall, wearing some kind of silver coveralls.
Cool.
She's fairly close to this thing. It's wearing some kind of a hat or helmet. She said it looks kind of like a beekeeper's hat with a veil.
All right.
So this thing's face is completely obscured. Now she's completely dumbfounded at first, and then she has a little bit of presence of mind, and she asked this individual if he will remove his covering so she can see his face, and he simply says, "That's the way it is."
Mm-hmm.
I guess that means no, but she hears it telepathically. She hears it in Hebrew.
It wasn't Tom Brokaw, was it? Isn't that what he used to sign off? That's the way it is. Oh, that's
It could have been. It could have been.
All right, go ahead.
Okay,
but he said it in Yiddish to her or in Hebrew to her?
She heard it in her own language.
Wow.
Yes, in Hebrew.
Interesting. Okay.
Now the dogs are going crazy, and then like in so many of these cases, this is still going on. He's standing there, and there's this craft or whatever is there. She decides that she needs to go back into the house and have a cup of coffee.
Okay, good plan.
So, yep, and then she doesn't know why she did it, but then when she comes out again, is gone.
Wow.
The next day, she finds a 15-foot circle or a saucer nest or crop circle, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
Now, her neighbor, Shash Yaoud, she's wakened at 2:30 a.m. These guys keep showing up early in the morning.
Yes.
This is March 31st.
Okay.
Now, she's awakened by the sound of an explosion. And then
once again, you're in Israel. Doesn't that happen minute by minute?
It's a regular occurrence. It used to be anyway.
There's a couple of these that are preceded by an explosion. Like I'm always looking for patterns.
Okay.
Now, two of these giants appear in her bed, or actually one giant appears in her bedroom.
Okay.
He doesn't seem to be walking. He seems to be floating around her bed.
Okay.
She describes him as 7 foot tall, coveralls, tall, thin,
coveralls.
Bald.
Bald, okay.
Bald.
Yep. Definitely
eyes,
in the future.
Eyes like traffic lights.
Okay, wow.
Okay. She falls back to sleep. She gets up in the morning and thinks, okay, what a crazy dream. And she gets and finds one of these saucer nests in her backyard.
Wow.
A saucer nest.
What's this guy up to?
Well, I think there may be many of them. Anyway, this crop circle, the grass inside grows. Turns out it stays there. It grows about half as quickly as the stuff on the outside. So there was really something physical that happened there.
Wow.
There's another one, Batya Shimon, 1993. These giants come in the apartment, in the bedroom. Another orange glow.
Okay.
It's like they're floating around. She said they had kind faces. They seemed to be enthralled by her son's aquarium.
Okay.
Yes, I hope they weren't hungry.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sure. And how old are these women? Are they elderly women or are they?
Good, excellent question, because I was going to bring that toward the end.
Okay.
Most of them, Barry Chambers found out, are
Bury the lead.
toward their late 30s.
Right to the punchline.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, about 30-ish actually.
Okay.
And it's
See, it makes the story better, Steve.
You've heard.
There's a website for that.
Bud Hopkins and David Jacobs. They talk about these false pregnancies.
Oh.
You remember? Have you heard that?
No.
The woman has an encounter, and then they seem to have these false pregnancies. The belief in some of the researchers is that there's been some kind of a hybridization going on there, and it's a real pregnancy, and the aliens come by and harvest the fetus.
Wow.
Of course, other people say it's just a hysterical pregnancy.
I agree.
But Chamish realized that several women about the same age were all experiencing this.
Yes. Why would aliens, and this is the universal question, why would aliens do that to us? You know what I mean? they're so far.
They got nothing better to do.
Got nothing better to do. Okay, like Bob Kraft, right? Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah, please.
There was even an incident where a couple guys saw these. They heard the explosion. They saw the aliens. They called the police. They got a hold of the army. The Israeli army, thinking it might be terrorists, thinking maybe these guys, exaggerated their experience or whatever. Barry Chamish got the sightings people to come in. He gave them kind of a layout of all the stuff that was going on. So they showed up, and they started to film some of the crop circles and interview some of the people. There was even some animal mutilations, sheep and so forth, chickens dying. So
you probably want to watch it. What you tell the Israeli military they might be terrorists. They're just coming to just blow the hell out of everything. Yeah. You got to watch.
Well, they did find they got tractors out there, and they found these deep, large footprints that went off for a long stretch. So they did find something. So a lot of this was covered in the media. A lot of this was covered on sightings. So there was some documentation that something was going on.
Right. So I just have to ask the question. I mean, like, to me, and what I imagine Israel's like is you got like military stuff happening all the time. You know, they're either flying over you or you see their presence is in your daily life.
It's a way of life.
It wouldn't surprise me if there was all kinds of secret, stuff flying around and landing and stuff like that. I mean, any chance that this stuff was, just like a top secret military equipment?
Well, let's go look at this next one. This is kind of an aberration. Most of these were giants, but there was a lady returning home from Tel Aviv.
Yes.
And she Shoshana Barrow, and this is December 31st, and she sees one of these objects, and it breaks into three pieces. And then one of the pieces breaks into more, and it falls over this cliff, the cliffs of Netanya. So she stops. She's there with her boyfriend. They get out. They look over the edge. And on the ledge below, she sees four classic gray aliens. Now, this is the only time you hear about these other aliens. And then she looks up and sees their crafts. There's classic disc-shaped craft.
Yes.
And there's one of them floats toward her.
Wow.
She was also did this under regressive hypnosis. She was interviewed on TV. She saw it looked like eye beams coming out of this thing. It went up and touched her, and then she went out. She collapsed on the ground.
Yikes.
Her boyfriend is trying to get to her. He can't move. He's frozen. And finally, he works his way over to her, tries to pick her up. She feels like a block of concrete. He's pulling her toward the road. She says to him, "I want to go back," but she's saying it in a voice that's not hers.
Wow.
So we don't know. They don't know what happened to the craft or whatever. Then maybe there was missing time, but they finally got her to the hospital. Her face was all burned and so forth. She was interviewed on TV. Barry Chamish interviewed her, thought that she was probably credible.
Right, yeah. I hope he never mentioned to his wife at one point you felt like a block of concrete. You ain't got nothing ever after that, pal.
Now she had all kinds of strange stuff going on. She had apparitions in her house. She had the horrible odor. There were red orbs and so forth. You know who Daryl Sims is, the famous UFO investigator? He came over there, did a lot of investigating.
Wow.
You know how they shine the fluorescent light on abductees and they get these strange marks? Well, she had the green and yellow marks all over her.
Wow.
So it seemed like something was really going on. Okay, now we're getting toward this exciting conclusion here.
You got 20 seconds.
Please,
boy. Just go ahead, go.
Okay, the Circle of Giants. Okay, there's a plateau on top of the Golden Heights, and it's got 5 rings. It's one of these ancient structures, shades of ancient aliens.
Yes.
If you weigh all the stones, they weigh 37,000 tons estimated.
Okay.
The summer solstice lines up back in 3000 BC.
Oh, cool.
Probably built about 5,000. Yes. Nomadic tribes? No. Who possibly did this? So there's a close to the circle is Ashtaroth, a town named after the Canaanite goddess of war.
Okay.
Ashtaroth was the Canaanite name for Sirius, the constellation.
Oh, yeah.
Sirius.
Yeah.
In Joshua, we're told that Og of Bashan was the last who ruled at Ashtaroth. In Deuteronomy, we're told that these people were giants.
Wow.
The Nephilim.
Wow.
Now, Barry was looking for the possible connection with angels and the prophets. He said he failed.
Right.
But when you look at the giant
theme, the looking on the Genesis 6, and the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they took them. Well, he thought that perhaps there was a connection there.
Yeah. It's a strange place. That whole area is just like really strange because it's so ancient. You know what I mean? It's been around for so long. I mean, Egypt and so on, all the way out of the Middle East. They have just such long histories. Weird stuff has happened. You know,
it's like the history since the beginning of time.
Yeah, really.
Because there were 2 women that claimed that they had these false pregnancies.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, maybe that's another show. We'll check with the lawyers. Okay. Thank you, Switchy, for that report. And why don't we take a commercial break there now, JJ, okay?
All right.
You're listening to Mack Maloney's Military Exile Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. We'll be right back after this.
We've all heard of Area 51, the U.S. government's top-secret base in the Nevada desert. But have you ever heard of Area 52, or 53, or 54? 54? How about Tonopah Test Range, or the Navy's secret base inside the Bermuda Triangle? Find out about them and more in Mack Maloney's Beyond Area 51, Mysteries of the World's Most Forbidden Places. Did Richard Nixon show Jackie Gleason a crashed alien spaceship near the swamps of Florida? Is it true that more UFOs are seen over a small Scottish village than anywhere else in the world? And is there a secret place in Russia that some people think is heaven on earth? In Mack Maloney's Beyond Area 51, you'll visit more than a dozen top-secret places around the globe. The haunted forests of New Jersey, a valley in Colorado where shadows come alive and humans can fly without wings. And where's the only secret base in America that's not been visited by UFOs? You've heard Mack talk all about these places on his radio show. Now you can read all about them yourself. That's Mack Maloney's Beyond Area 51, Mysteries of the World's Most Forbidden Places. Now on sale at Amazon.
UFOs are found in Renaissance art, on ancient coins, and etched on cave walls. They are even reported in the Bible. But more surprising is when UFOs are seen the most, in times of war. Through centuries, thousands of UFO sightings have been made by high-ranking officials, military pilots, and ordinary soldiers. Often, these fantastic appearances occur at the height of great battles. From World War I to D-Day, to Korea, Vietnam, and beyond, military investigators are baffled. Why do UFO sightings spike so drastically during wartime? Could it be mistaken aircraft, or is someone, or something, looking in on us? In UFOs in Wartime, What They Didn't Want You to Know, Mack Maloney chronicles centuries of these incredible sightings and tries to solve the puzzle of why so many UFOs are seen while humanity is at war. Read about the scare ships, the ghost planes, and the ghost rockets, alien giants in the jungles of Vietnam, UFOs controlling our ICBM bases, dogfights with flying saucers during the Gulf War, and more. 300 pages of unbelievable stories, along with many startling photographs. That's UFOs in Wartime, What They Didn't Want You to Know, by Mack Maloney. On sale at your local bookstore or on Amazon.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military Exile Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. Well, you know, you've just walked in the middle of a party. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
We're just having so much fun. We're beside ourselves.
The very famous Juan is here, girls.
Hello, girls.
Okay,
I'm here.
You might want to stand in the far corner of the room.
We're still here. We're still here.
We never get old. Also, Coco has had to log off because he's back in a secret mission. Thank you for joining us earlier or later in the show, depending. Superfan Barbara is with us, though. She is still with us.
Yes, I am. Hello.
Up there on Madeline Island.
Freezing to death.
Madeline Island?
Madeline Island.
Madeline Island, Lake Superior.
In Wisconsin. Okay. Wow. How did you ever get up there? I mean, is there a thumbnail version? You weren't born on the island, were you?
No, I was hired to play a gig up there in 1979.
Oh, All right. And you fell in love with the place.
Yep.
Okay. And what's the temperature right now?
Up there, I think it's about 11.
Oh, where are you?
Not bad.
Where are you right now?
I'm in Madison, Wisconsin.
Oh, Madison.
Oh, I thought you were on the island. It's much more romantic if you're on the island.
I didn't want to burst your bubble.
Well, you just did. But I forgive you.
She's on the college campus someplace.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That might be another show. Who knows?
Could be.
Hey, listen. Also on the line with us, kind of up in the same part of the world. Maybe you two know each other. It's up there in Battle Creek, the Bowl of Flakes. Battle Creek, Michigan. Wisconsin, Michigan. What's the difference? Really, nothing, right?
Stop.
There's a couple of miles.
Switchblade Steve Ward.
I'm hearing her twice because if I open the window a little bit, I can hear her voice.
You
She's
can
so
hear
close.
her, yeah. See? Okay.
Hi, Steve.
Hey, what's
See?
up?
How you doing there, Steve Arena?
I'm doing great.
Great. Okay. All right. Now, you know what I'm going to ask you? Are you going to disappoint me again? Us? You're listening?
Well, you've heard of the expression third rail.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Don't step
touch
on
it.
Yeah.
Don't touch it. don't be pushed on
That's
it.
not where I was going. I had donuts this morning.
All right.
Oh,
Yay.
yes.
All right. Yes, please.
Yes.
Nothing.
Come
not
on,
even.
let's-
Not even.
Now I know he's a real
Go to
person.
And buy the fresh ones.
I know
These are
those
in a box.
I know those energy
Okay.
bars. Those energy bars wouldn't last more than 2 weeks.
Hostess donuts or something.
Excellent. Wow. How many donuts did you have?
Two.
Two. And the big ones or the mini donuts?
They were normal sized donuts, but I might have had another one or two later on during the morning.
I like the coffee cup brand.
The
coffee with a K.
With the little handle on it?
No. They're just the brand name. But yeah, a Dunkin' Donut has a handle on it.
Switch had 2 donuts for breakfast. The world makes sense again.
Do you know that the employees at Dunkin' Donuts have no idea what a Dunkin' Donut is?
Because it's out of...
I'm not going to go there.
Okay.
That's another segment.
Barbara.
Yes, sir.
Now I have to ask you, what did you have for breakfast today? Superfan Barbara with.
I had an apple with some peanut butter and some black tea with, cream.
Wow. Okay. And what, do you get a little buzz off that? Is that the angle?
I do.
Oh, you do? Okay. All right. Let me write that down.
That black tea.
Okay.
Good protein with the peanut butter.
Yeah.
Was it organic?
Of course it was.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Switch, have you ever eaten an apple with peanut butter on it ever for breakfast?
I do it all the time.
No, I don't. I don't eat a lot of fruit because unless it's in a pie. Because
oh wow, Steve!
It tastes so much better in a pie.
Thank you for coming back into the fold. Really,
blueberry. Lemon. Oh man.
Yeah. Okay.
Chocolate, although it's not really a fruit.
So you don't eat apples unless it's a pie.
We consider it a fruit. It is a fruit. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
It's a staple.
I'm with Switch on that, but I do like fresh apples with peanut butter. I have a jar of peanut butter in my car.
Okay.
And I dunk the apple slices in the peanut butter.
Really? As you're driving along and you're challenged?
Oh yeah.
You should be pulled over for something. You really?
It's not illegal to eat peanut butter and apples while you're driving.
We're in New Hampshire. You don't know that. Okay, well,
that's the way I do it.
What did you have for breakfast? Let's just go right around the table.
Oatmeal with flaxseed meal, crushed walnuts.
Okay.
And, that was it. Some little bit of maple syrup, teaspoonful of maple syrup.
Put a little liquid,
I think if
sugar
I was
around
in prison, I'd be eating that.
Yeah, right. It does sound like prison food.
Matt, what did you have for breakfast?
I had...
a beer.
A Bloody Mary. No. Dare you say a beer?
You were celebrating with the Patriots.
I have, I know it sounds weird, but every morning I have one piece of toast with a very thin skim of peanut butter on it, no salt, no sugar peanut butter.
Okay,
and then I drizzle a little honey that Al Martino makes for us. Yeah, and just...
That honey is great.
I'll tell you, it really is really good. And you don't have to put a lot on it.
Nope.
And I don't know, did the calorie count on this? It's like about 100 calories.
I think honey's good for it. It's like a health food. Isn't it, Barbara? Honey?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean...
Comes from a bee. How bad can it be?
Right. And never goes bad.
Right.
And it's sugar, but it's kind of good sugar in a way, you know. And from having honey, I don't use like the white sugar anymore, So it kind of, scratches that itch, So, yeah, that's what I have. I've had that for breakfast like every morning for a year now. Okay, and it's just it fills me up. What can I say? I remember we were talking about earlier.
And you're looking better too, by the way.
Thank you, Juan.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, my loyal friend.
Yeah.
Okay. You're still buying tonight. You're still picking up the tab.
It's okay. I am
tonight.
picking up the tab.
All right. We have that on tape. Yeah, you can. Sugar is, someone just in the medical profession just said to me, don't eat or consume anything that's white. Okay? Yeah. So no sugar, no pasta, a lot of fun stuff. Anything bleached. It's just, I don't know if it's bad for you, but it's not good for you. It's, kind of neutral, so.
When I lived in Charlestown,
yes,
I lived right down the street, walking distance, from the Revere Sugar and Domino Sugar plant.
Okay.
And I was like having a ball because they'd let me walk in the place.
Really? Yeah. And lick the sugar.
It's amazing they let kids. I wonder if their insurance adjuster ever knew that.
Not these days.
Jeez, let this kid wandering around in the. Yeah.
Wow. Now I'm hungry.
I lived off of sugar.
Now I'd like to have a couple donuts, frankly. So, Steve,
yes.
You have a report for us tonight, and I understand it's like a top 10. Now, I should say, we're not neglecting 10 questions for JJ. It's just that the next time we do 10 questions, it's going to be an extra special 10 questions.
Oh, great.
Okay? All right?
Great.
Oh, whoa. I don't know why the crickets are responding in the way they are, but so just hold. You don't have to hold your breath, but get ready for it. You know what I mean? There,
it's going to be blue 10 questions for JJ.
It's going to be a mind blower, hopefully. Okay. So, Steve, but you have a top 10, and it's the top 10 biggest paranormal stories of forever.
Yes, well, the way the story evolved, I was looking at a Fate magazine article from 1999, and they went to the top 100 paranormal events of the last century.
Yes, yes.
So I picked out some of the best ones, I thought, and then you suggested that we make it kind of a top 10 list.
Wow.
So, which, is not easy to do. So I have to say, for the purposes of this report, I am no longer Steve Ward, Switchblade Steve Ward.
Okay.
I am Rollo Tomasi. If they have any complaints about this list, I am Rollo Tomasi, stormdrain.poughkeepsie@gmail.com.
Wait a minute. Stop.
People are going to hate my list. They're going to not like the order. There's going to be all kinds of complaints.
Okay. All right.
Because understand there's hundreds of ones I could pick,
yes.
And it's down to 10, and everybody's going to hate Rollo Tomasi for this list.
Please tell me that's not a real person's name, is it?
It's actually it actually comes from a film. It would be take about 5 minutes to explain it.
Oh, okay.
So
all right.
Probably shouldn't do that.
Are we going to hear from that film's lawyers or attorneys or anything like that?
No, people will probably rent it now.
Okay. All right.
L.A. Confidential. Check out L.A. Confidential.
Oh, so that's our defense.
Okay.
All right. Wow, that's kind of an obscure reference. So what, I do remember the name. What happens to them in L.A. Confidential? Isn't that the snitch?
Well, it's a fictional name. It's like the guy that gets away.
I
don't know who the perpetrator was, but they see, and I'm going to be the guy that gets away.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know who really did this list or who came up with it.
Right.
If they hate it. See, that's the idea. Okay.
Kind of a long road there, Juan, don't you think?
It was.
Yeah, okay. All right, but that's okay.
I tried to avoid the long road, but we took it anyway.
Went around in circles like that donut he was eating.
Okay, wow. Somehow we got to get donuts. Do we know a bar that serves donuts?
I wish Dunkin' Donuts served donuts.
I wish Dunkin' Donuts served liquor. Right? Wow. We better write that down.
Nope, it's already there. I got a 6-pack of Harpoon with Dunkin' Donuts coffee in it.
What?
Yeah.
Oh God, they're taking over. Them, Amazon.
It's not that great, but it's interesting concept.
Well, there goes them as a sponsor. Okay, please, Steve. So are we going to start at number? Barbara, you're going to say something.
We're going to start at number 10.
We just said
go up to the best one.
Switchy,
Yes.
Barbara was going to make some comment. I'm sure.
Okay.
Please, Barbara.
Oh, I was just waiting for Rollo.
Oh,
okay.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I don't know who Steve is, but I'm waiting for Rollo.
Now I want a Rollo candy. My favorite candy is
stormdrain@gmail.com. Okay. Now, the other thing is these are picked not necessarily because they're real or, that's debatable. It's because of the shock waves, the reverberations that they made throughout the paranormal community. Okay.
Okay. So listen, 10. You've apologized for it. Do we have enough time to actually do the list now?
We're running out of time.
All right, let's go. Number 10.
Number 10, George Adamski, his alleged meeting on November 20th, 1952, with Orthron, the Venusian, in the California desert.
Wow.
This really kicked off the contactee movement, which is still thriving today.
Right.
There are all kinds of reports. Some of the contactee reports kind of blend in with the abductee reports. It gets very blurry, and some of the contactees that seem to have been fraudulent charlatans or whatever. If you follow the trail enough, every once in a while you'll find something that seems real. So it's very, very murky. But anyway, he really created a huge shockwave back in the early 50s when he made this claim about contacting the Venusian in the desert.
Right. And what did they have to? What did the Venusians say to him? Anything?
Peace, love, and brotherhood, pretty much.
Wow.
And that's kind of what it's something that was very
positive.
Attracted a lot of people. And there was in the Detroit area where I grew up.
Okay.
Of course, this is back in the 50s. There was a flying saucer club, and when this came out, they would pull their money together to pull in people like George Adamski and George Van Tassel, and even a few, supposedly credible people like Donald Kehoe and Edward Ruppelt to talk at the Masonic Temple downtown.
Okay.
So this is in the early days before they could really sift through, what was real and what wasn't, what was more legitimate and not. But it was huge.
We have a special sound effect for Detroit there, Juan.
We do?
We're going to try it out. Ready? Nope, that is a hit, obviously. Okay. We're going to have to re-engineer that.
Oh, man.
It was supposed to be gunshots. I'm sorry. So were you in the Detroit UFO Club there, Switchy?
Well, this one was before my time.
Okay.
But we had a high school UFO club when I was a kid.
How many people were in that? How many people were members?
4.
4?
Four.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me guess, it wasn't 3 chicks and you, right?
Yes, absolutely.
He joined that to get chicks.
Did you?
He couldn't make it in the National Honor Society.
Matt, you gotta be kidding. Wasn't getting any chicks, so I might as well have been in a UFO club.
Okay, all right. Sorry, we went down that road there, folks.
I'm sorry, too.
Sorry to you, Barbara. Okay, why don't we go to number 9?
Okay, number 9. Crop circles. The advent of crop circles.
They're
in the
fake,
90s.
though. Come on, they're fake.
They're not fake,
Yes,
man.
yes.
Yeah.
What? Yes. Well, there are some reports that are a little dubious. Perhaps there's some reality there, but it's not just that. If you trace this phenomena back, you go into the 1960s, you get what they called saucer nests, a little bit simpler and so forth, but people actually would see lights. They would see craft sometimes landing out in the field. They go there the next day, they'd find these rings on the ground.
Right.
And this phenomena has been around forever, even before the Kenneth Arnold sighting, which we'll get to a little bit later. They used to call them fairy rings. Back in the couple hundred years ago, they would see these depressed circles in the ground. They would see strange lights in the sky that they called fairy lights instead of orbs or UFOs. And they would see the little people sometimes looked very similar to some of the UFO pilots, only their wardrobe was slightly different.
Wow. He's perfectly described the Boston Combat Zone. But anyway, I digress. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Number 8, and again, these are things that sent shockwaves and still exist today.
Can we just go back to the crop circles for a second now?
Yeah.
The guys, but there were 2 guys when the modern era of crop circles.
Mack,
the 2
I'm
guys.
I'm sorry.
They get 2 guys with a 2x4 and string. No,
they came out and they said,
that's the way they make a lot of them. But these guys claimed they made them all over the place, appearing all over the world. Now, some of the very complex ones are certainly done by people. I even know somebody that went over to England and was making some of these under cover of darkness.
Why would they do that? Why would you do that, though? Just to freak out more UK people?
There are people that they meditate and that's communing with the earth and so forth. Allegedly, some of these people that have made some of these have seen the phenomena, the light balls show up when they're doing them.
That's what I want to know. See, because the thing about crop circles is that
there's a strange energy from some of these crop circles too.
There's tangible evidence, okay? And you know what I mean?
Yeah, very
people
tangible.
wake up in the morning and all of a sudden in the wheat field there's this circle, okay? Why does no one go out there with night vision equipment, night. You can videotape now at night, just like as if it's the day. Why doesn't anyone?
With a set of NODs.
Why don't they
There
video
are
it?
some videotapes, but in the age of computer-generated images, I don't trust anything I see as a still or videotape.
They're fake.
Well, definitely, most of them, maybe all of them are. But now, again, you go back and follow the history, the saucer nests and so forth. I don't believe all those are fake.
But people always, especially in the UFO community, people always backfill with stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, this
it's a question how they were made if they were fake. I mean, if you
because the guys, the hoaxes showed you how they were made. They were on 60 Minutes. They
weren't even close. I saw those guys. They weren't even close, and how trying to show you how
Barbara,
a
do you
hoax
believe
crop cervical.
It's a hoax,
made.
right? Barbara, please back me up.
No, it's not.
Barbara.
No, Steve, you think they're all fake?
No,
I think some of them are
not
real.
necessarily. I think that some of them there have been.
Mac thinks they're all fake.
I think they're all fake.
Where people have seen these little balls of light traveling in the area of these crop circles.
But they don't see. Where's that definitive video? This is something UFOs come and go. Okay, and it's very hard to get a definitive video of them. But if there's a field that is doesn't have a crop circle on it when the sun goes down, and it does when the sun goes up, and we know there's tons of hoaxes out there. He knows someone who went over to England to do it in the dead of night. Why isn't there a night vision film of them?
Because it can be hoaxed doesn't mean it was hoaxed. Here's the thing. The Skinwalker Ranch, Utah, the scientific team, the NIDS team that was there, documented over 200 separate paranormal incidents. None of them were repeated, and very few of them could they get on film, sometimes a blurry light or whatever. Whatever this phenomena is, the legitimate part of the phenomena is very elusive and very hard to capture. That being said, the vast majority of crop circles, I'm sure, are man-made, even the very complex ones.
Okay. All right. We'll call it a tie. Want to call it a tie? They won one?
All right. I mean, there's still questions about it.
Okay. Next one.
I don't think they can all be ruled out.
They're all fake. Go ahead. Next one.
Okay. The book, The Chariots of the Gods by Eric von Daniken, 1970. That sent reverberations. Now von Daniken admits that early on he was very enthusiastic, and there was some things that were not factual, that were wrong, and they were corrected later. And I used to kind of sneer at the ancient alien stuff as well. But you can see all the way up to the present how popular that show is, whether you think it's legitimate or not. Of course, they stretch things here and there, but they produce a very interesting show. But if you actually look at the broad scope of it, there's a lot of really fascinating things in the past.
Yes.
And certainly just because stone blocks are pretty hard to move and engineer doesn't mean that we have to go to aliens to explain everything.
Right.
It could be that humankind was very advanced and very innovative in ways we couldn't understand. But I'm not prepared, as I used to be, to completely reject the idea of some other intelligence or intervention there. But you can see the way that the shock waves that book has sent all the way through the decades to the present.
Right.
It's still there.
I read it when it first came out, and it blew me away because I was always interested in UFOs, but there was never anything. There was I don't want to say it, there's no backstory to them, is if I can use a showbiz term. Okay, it was like, here they are. The Air Force,
take it or leave it.
The Air Force chases them, whatever, right? But now this guy comes out, and it's kind of, the book is written in a haphazard way, and then he went on to write a whole bunch of books. The first book and the second book were actually, in my opinion, the best, because he goes to places, and I think what he's on to tell you the truth, he's on to something. I don't even think he knows what it is, okay? But there is definite proof, and as you say, Switch, up in the Andes, 3 miles high, Stone Age men moved blocks of granite, 400 tons. That happened, okay? That's real. That isn't, made up. And to von Daniken's theory, and he's a little bit of a shady character too, but his theory is that aliens came down to this planet and basically seeded the planet in a way, okay? And they were here for a while, and they did all these fantastic things, and they made friends with, the peoples who they ran into, who would be, like the Aztecs and the Incas and the Egyptians and people like this, where these things show up. I mean, people still look at the pyramids. They still can't figure out the pyramids, I mean, they kind of get it, but they still don't understand exactly how they were able to build these things, all right? And they're gigantic. And and they're on the the axis of the Earth, and they shouldn't have had the knowledge of the stars that they did to design these things, but they did. So it was fascinating when I read those books over and over and over again. It was
Chariots of the Gods is out on Audible now, and I listened to the first part of it. There was a big, long introduction where he goes back and corrects some of the mistakes he made in the first one. So it's going to be an interesting read or listen, however you do it. I think.
If you have a chance, just read it, and it's the beginning of the alien astronauts theory, and it's a fascinating idea just to read through it and see how many very strange things this guy came upon. I mean, I know one of them was he went into a cave in like Paraguay, okay, deep in a cave, and there's a cave drawing there, a prehistoric cave drawing of a dinosaur. Okay, all right, fine, okay, but men never saw dinosaurs, despite what
as far as I know.
Yeah, no one ever did. Okay, well, because there's millions and millions of years in between when the dinosaurs, went away and humans came. Okay, so how would someone in the Stone Age in a cave in Paraguay know what a dinosaur looks like? I don't know. There's no answer, but he comes up with dozens of things like that, and he just says, well, it's ancient aliens, but if you kind of keep an open mind about what it might have been, it's like, wow, what's going on here? This is crazy. And the similarities between what the Incas were doing, building pyramids and stuff like that, and what the Egyptians were doing. I mean, it's almost like they were in communication.
They were connected
with each other
somehow.
So, yeah, go. I would say read it or listen to it. He's really an interesting guy, and an interesting book.
Who's the guy again?
Eric von Däniken. Go ahead there, please, Steve. What do we have?
Okay.
Number 7?
Number 7.
Okay.
The Men in Black.
Okay.
The Albert Bender story, Connecticut, Bridgeport, Connecticut, 1956. He's the one that was publishing, I think it was called something like Spacecraft News or whatever, all about UFOs.
Okay.
Big fanzine at the time.
Yes.
And then he shut it down, claiming that he'd been approached by 3 men in black that told him to stop his research.
Okay.
And it was first reported in Gray Barker's They Knew Too Much About Flying Saucers, which was a really big book, created all kinds of shockwaves throughout the community. John Keel talks about that book. Gray Barker, who was kind of a trickster, he started out writing a kind of a serious book and then kind of threw his hands up, according to John Keel, and started making it up.
Yeah. All
right. Yes. So, but anyway, nevertheless,
when in doubt, make it up.
Go ahead. And Albert Bender later on wrote his own book called Flying Saucers and the Three Men, which reads a little bit like some of the bad science fiction of the 1940s from Amazing Stories. And however, when I first read it, it rang very much like some of the strange stuff that John Keel was running into.
Okay.
It was the Men in Black were more like apparitions, almost like a demonic manifestation than a government agent in a suit. At any rate, whatever the truth of the situation is, the Men in Black story hasn't died.
It's still around.
John Keel, Jenny Randles, Nick Redfern have all. I've talked to some people one-on-one that have had really bizarre encounters with very strange guys dressed in black connected to the UFO phenomenon.
Okay, what number are we on now?
We're on 6 now.
Okay, good, because we have 4 minutes left, so we should go.
Oh, boy.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, 6. July 24th, 1947, Kenneth Arnold is sighting over Mount Rainier, Washington.
Right.
And this sighting by itself, if you were just to describe it, no big deal. 6 saucers skipping across the water. But they coined the term flying saucer.
Right.
It brought it, people were seeing them before and after, of course. But this turned the light on. This focused all the attention on to the flying saucer mystery.
He phoned ahead. He landed. He was a businessman. He saw these flying saucers and really checked out the story because the flying saucers were flying in a very unusual way. And he landed at one place. He told someone there, and then he took off and he flew somewhere else. And by that time, the media was waiting for him. They had got wind of the story. He said they looked like saucers skipping across a pond. Okay, they're going like this, and the media took that and they turned it into flying saucers, and that's how we get flying saucers. UFO was actually a term invented by the U.S. military. Okay, next one, please, Stevie.
There was actually a flying saucer was coined by a farmer in 1918, but that's another story.
Oh, wow.
Number 5.
How dare you?
the Patterson Gimlin film, the Bigfoot. They call her Patty.
Yep.
The film in Washington State. Was it Washington or Oregon? Anyway, the Northwest. How's that?
Yes.
And it's been analyzed. Jeffrey Meldrum has analyzed it. The bone structure of the leg and the foot. He's an expert in that. The way this thing walked, it couldn't have been human. Bill Moon examined it. It could not have been a costume. He documented it because of the way the muscle structure moved. It has people, a lot of people have said, oh, I was in the costume, or I know the guy that did.
Yep.
But that's nonsense. It's, I've doubted it for a long time too, but it's probably legitimate.
Okay. Well,
Number 4.
The Bigfoot walk's kind of funny in the film, but go ahead, please.
Yes. Number 4, swamp gas.
Oh, yeah.
March 1966, in Michigan, in my own backyard, Dr. J. Allen Hynek, who was still attached to Project Blue Book and had not become one of the good guys yet. Later on, he started the Center for UFO Studies in Evanston, Illinois. But he suggested that some of the sightings in Hillsdale, Michigan, might be swamp gas. Well, that was it. The press had their story. They didn't need to hear any more, and it's been swamp gas forevermore.
Right. I remember seeing that on TV. They reported that. There was a real flap. They reported for about a week on the morning news. Before going to school, I would see it, and everyone was going, oh, it's just swamp gas. And meanwhile, they're talking to witnesses, and they've seen these fantastic, something. It wasn't swamp gas, but
it was something they ate, huh?
The military said it was swamp gas, therefore it was swamp gas. Okay, next one, please.
Yeah, there were a lot of credible sightings by police officers and so forth. The next one, number 3, 1933, the road from Foyers to Inverness and Loch Ness was open, and people started seeing this strange creature, Nessie, with the long neck and the humps and so forth. But if they would go back in folklore, there was something in that loch for centuries. They called it the water horse or the kelpie, which they believed was an evil shape-shifting kind of a creature. But that road opened up the whole Loch Ness mystery. And that's really fascinating in itself, because if you follow that, it actually takes you down a paranormal trail eventually as well.
We got a nice letter from a fan who heard the Best of Switch was on last week, which was a ratings bonanza.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. And he heard Switch's report, and he kind of filled us in on, what happens up at Loch Ness and everything, and how if there's a monster there, it's very strange because there really isn't a lot for it to eat, but it's a very deep place, and, who knows what's going on there. A lot of people see it, so something has to be going on there. Please, next one.
Well, listen, if it was a rating bonanza, I'm going to chuck the Rollo Tomasi name then. Okay, now.
Don't be so hasty. Go ahead, please.
Number 2. Whitley Strieber Communion, the Greys. All right.
Yes.
This is between Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the movie, and Whitley Strieber's Grey. Prior to that, the entities that were being reported, for the most part, weren't Greys. They were all kinds of other descriptions. And it's really kind of took over the reporting, whether that's a real thing where the new kids on the block kicked out everybody else, or whether this is a matter of perception or the way people perceive things.
He brought a real sinister angle into it. Okay, next one.
Okay, we're down to number 1. It's a tie.
Here we go.
Right?
Yes.
Betty and Barney Hill, 1961, New Hampshire. An absolute classic, solid, absolutely solid couple, believable. They had the abduction experience where they were taken on board the craft. They had an incredible hypnotherapist, Dr. Benjamin Simon, checked them out. And of course, it was covered by the mainstream press at the time.
Go ahead.
They weren't afraid to do it. And the tie is the Mothman.
Oh, of course.
Now, the reason the Mothman, not just because of a garden variety winged creature, it's because of all the other stuff that happened. That was like one of the first so-called high strangeness areas where you had UFOs, cryptids, men in black, ghostly phenomena, all in the same place.
And just disasters with the bridge collapsing and everything, man. Out there, that's really right up there. Hey, Switch, wow, that was pretty good. Top 10
excellent.
paranormal events. All right, thank you. What a way to close the show. Well, we've had a lot of fun tonight. Thank you to Sasha Christie for joining us. Also, thank you to Security Chief Club for telling us all the very marital aids that were sent to you there, one of an ebony color.
All black, too.
Thank you, Coco, for joining us. And thank you to Barbara With, Superfan up there in Madison, Wisconsin.
Barbara.
Where all the hippies
thank you.
Right?
Superfan.
Okay, Superfan. I said Superfan.
The University of Wisconsin is crawling with hippies.
Hippies. Okay, they're still up there. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we really appreciate it. And we want to thank everyone out there listening to us for joining us tonight. And until you hear us next week, when 10 Questions for 1-1 should be back next week there, 1-1.
Okay.
Until then, this is Mack Maloney for the entire gang saying, be safe, be happy, and...
Bye-bye.